Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, and welcome to a TMM special for Anfield Index. The window slammed shut, didn't it? Technically it was 7 o'clock, but really it was 9 p.m. on Monday night because of the deal sheet. Liverpool's squad for the first half of the season is what it is. There's been record recruitment in terms of money spent, exits that way. Is it enough? Is it enough for all the big pots? Is it enough to carry us through to January? We're going to look at the people who've come in and what that means, even speaking in a little bit of what we've seen in the first 3 games so far, which have seen 9 points, not exactly perfect performances. I'm joined as ever by Barts to run through the stats and the numbers. And Barts, now that window has shut, bit of a loaded question this, but pleased with our recruitment.
Yeah, 100%. I think, if you'd said to me, I think you probably did say to me earlier on, I thought we'll probably get about 4 or 5. I was like, that'd be cool. It might not be enough, but, I think it'd be cool. But to end up with extensively all areas of the squad, bar one, which we can debate, complete and loaded with players that fundamentally is the important point for me, Slot trusts, because he has an involvement in picking the players, is awesome. Money. I hate. You always hate me for saying it's not my money. It isn't. I don't really care about fees, but the players coming in are top quality. I mean, none of these players are bad players. So yeah, I'm ecstatic. Yes, 9 o'clock on a Monday night would have been great to get that final little 0.25% to take it towards a 10 out of 10 winner. But I mean, ultimately, the players. Come on, Isak, Ekitike, Flo coming in, playing for Liverpool. That's phenomenal business, really, It
is really. It is pretty special. And as we go through this, we will go one by one and talk about certain areas of the pitch, from the defence to the midfield to the attack, and the burning questions that are going on. And before anyone starts, yes, at times there might be 12, 13, 14 players on the pitch to help us when we're talking about an area and give you a visual there as well. So no moaning about that at all, chat panel. Well, let's get into it. We will start from the back line. I mean, it almost feels with the defence that it was punctuated by game not coming in at the end of the window, which obviously dominated the deadline day a little bit somewhat. But Kirkes came in, Frimpong came in, Leone came in. So there was serious recruitment made in that area, Barts. And I suppose the first one I do want to talk about is the Italian youngster, Giovanni Leone, that, again, I want to be careful how we say this, but he seems to be in as the 4th choice centre-half, doesn't he, with Gomez being number 3. We didn't get Gomez, so people are now... Sorry, we didn't get Gavin, so people are now saying we'll carry this till January and probably get Gay. There's no, definitive solution or anything certain that we'll get that. But I suppose the key question I've got now is, how much should we be relying on young Leone? Because even in the reports, again today going out, there's clearly a club briefing that Liverpool believe this was the best defensive youngster on the market. So in terms of stats and what we can read from him, does that get supported?
Yeah, I mean, let's look at some of the fundamental basics of our thresholds for signing a player, right? Yeah. So particularly defensively, aerial ability. People hate me banging on about that, but in the Premier League, it's absolutely vital that we can clear our box. Yeah. It's something we hadn't done very well until about probably halfway through Newcastle, right? Yeah. So the guy Leone has a 63% aerial duel rate, right? That's tick. It's better than Gay, better than Gomez at the moment. Gomez has that higher ability, but at the moment, and it's better than the guy that Leone ostensibly replaced, which was Kwanzaa, right? So, tick, upside. Minutes availability for a kid of this young, 17 last season, yeah? I know he's 18 now, but, he was 17 last season. He played 1,200 minutes. In Serie A, for a side under the car, Palmer didn't play that well, should we say, So, that's, again, another tick. Availability, tick. Any injuries, nothing major, right? So, again, tick. Those are the thresholds we can do, right? We then, as when we profiled him, we look at his passing ability, we said, right, well, he's trying the passes we want, but he's playing in a team that's fine. not the greatest, should we say. So it wasn't coming off, but the intent was there to line break, which is the kind of stuff that BVD was doing for fun against Arsenal on Sunday, right? So at one point, BVD misses 6 players out to find, I think it was job in the pocket. That's the kind of stuff that the only was trying to do with poorer players. So for me, coming in, this is an excellent signing if he then goes on, and it carries that trajectory on. What he needs to do is play minutes, right?
Yeah.
Thing that you've got to take from that, if you compare him to the player who has just left, right? Konza. Here we go. He played 1,200 minutes last season, right? Just over 1,200 minutes, right? And he was older, right? People forget Gerald Konza, it was 21, right? So if you just swap out those 2 minutes and you've got a player who's better in the air, probably about the same. Konza was pretty good on the ball, but a little bit stronger, more robust as a player. I think you're going to get what you do. What I think will happen is they will increase Leone's playing time probably by about 25%, which will take into 1,500-1,600 minutes, right? Yeah. Now, do that, then you come into, I'm just trying to Gomez on my list of how many minutes. Gomez played 876 minutes last season and Konza about 1,300. So Leone then kind of comes in near enough covering those 2 sets of minutes, right? And that will give you developmental. But for me, it's an old adage, but I'm not saying play him against Arsenal. I'm not saying let's go away to the FA play Leone, right? But I think there are some Premier League games where you can start playing him in. All right. I think, what the next game is it Burnley at home or is it Burnley away? I can't remember what it is.
Burnley away, yeah.
But probably not one to try it with, but there were some easier ones coming at home where you could say, look, we've got 2 games a week. We know we did well last season in playing, but he still hasn't shown he can do continually that amount of minutes without breaking down at some point. So it might be smart to play Leone either in an easier Premier League game or, as we have some teams in the Champions League that my son thought were made up, and that might be an idea that he stays in those games, right? So, but it gives you a rest. So that I think, yes, I think you will see this kid play. Gomez playing well on Sunday, I thought was a big tick for us as well. To see that lad come in and play 20 minutes where Arsenal would try to come back into it, you know what I mean? And Gomez was in the right place, cleared, headed the ball, looked strong, helped Willy Jokeres again, joined in the fun with everybody else, keeping him out. I think that's a tick. So between those two, Gomez is the biggest one that we don't, we've said it before. Yeah. Gomez looked great and he's injured, right? But if Gomez can give us 600 minutes, whatever else, and Leone can give us that before Christmas, brilliant. I do think it's still worth going in for Gueye after that point, particularly because this, Parish is a shrewd guy. He will not want to lose that guy for nothing. So what was it? Was the deal 35? Agree? Was it 35 plus 5?
It was, yeah.
So you basically, if you slap down at 20 minutes or whatever else, you probably going to get a flat, right? And then I think that's smart business going forward. So yeah, I think Gueye would have made it a 10 out of 10 window, 100%. But it's not such the negative that I think some bands have kind of viewed it as they've sort of knocked it down to an 8 or a 9. And I'm like, no, because the rest of the players are amazing. And we've still kept, Joe didn't leave, right?
Yeah.
Joe's a great player. He's just not fit enough for the time, right? And Leone, as you said, so many clubs around Europe. I mean, Inter are after him, right? That's one of the biggest sides in Italy. And we beat them. So I think, for me, to answer your initial question, is Leone going to take part? I would expect him to, because of our Champions League draw has enabled us to have opportunities to play him. And there's some easier fixtures in the Premier League. Sorry. I think Joe, if we can keep him fit, will be useful as well. And therefore, I'm hopeful. I would expect, because we are a business, but equally, we are quite loyal to players. We've said to Mark, you're our man. We want you to join us. We even had him apparently all doing the media in his track. He wasn't there at the AXA, right, up to Monday night. I don't think we're a club to turn around and go, no, you're right now. I think we will go back at the next opportunity to get him in. So yeah, I think we will get Gay eventually. But the kid that we've signed, I think, has got phenomenal potential, and I'm sure Slow will use him when he needs to.
Interesting to see what happens with the centre halves there. And I mean, we'll stick in defence. Milos Kerkez was the most expensive defensive signing, wasn't he? At 40 million. Yep. That one sort of dragged. We had Dad speaking on TV, but we got it through the door. This is the thing about Kerkez, because we profiled him before, Barts, and when you look to what he did so well for Bournemouth, bombing on like a roadrunner, getting the ball into the box, that, those were his key stats, that relentless up and down. Yeah. And yet, you've got to just base on the evidence of the 3 games we've had so far. He spends most of his time kind of not here.
Yeah.
But almost tucked right in, doesn't he? In that essence.
Yeah.
So I suppose with that, I'm not saying people are judging him wrong, but how are we supposed to, assess him a little bit based on what he's being asked to do and what his attributes are? I
think, to be honest with you, I thought Kerkez was brilliant the weekend, by the way, just to put it out there. I thought that was his best performance. I think he's gradually improved, which is something I said on another pod. I thought was I think he's got better game on game. And that I very positive. He's taken on board what the man just said. He's listened. Against Arsenal, people were bigging up Madueke and saying, "Oh, he's gonna, don't know what the kids call it, cooking." I don't know what that means, but anyway, and, it's this thing. And I actually thought Kerkez did brilliantly against him. And the only time that Madueke was in, Kerkez used the slide tackle at the right opportunity to block a shot. So I thought I think when you come in as a kid, I would expect Slot to have done this. Is look. I know we've brought you to do this expansive game and everything, right? But at the moment, I need you to make sure we're defensively sound. I need you to concentrate that part of the game, because that's what's winning you titles. Yeah, let's be frank here. You can do all the stuff up and there, but then you don't end up with an Alvin Moreno, right? And we didn't win anything with Alvin Moreno. No offense to people out there who like the guy, but you can't have a fullback that we didn't win anything, right? So I think it makes complete sense to me that Slot's trying to simplify his game and say, look, just concentrate on the defensive side of it, building that partnership with BVD, right? Making sure that we lock down that left side. And to be fair to him, he's had Alanga, who's one of the quickest swingers in the Premier League history.
Yeah.
He's had Samayo, who's also exceptionally quick over 35k. And then in the weekend, he had Madueke, which is about a 34, 35. So he's had 3 of the quickest swingers in the Premier League, and none of them produced anything in that. And I think that's Samayo, he scored 2, but I'm just saying he came off. They were from central areas, they weren't from wide, is what I was trying to say. So I think from that side of his game, I think he's done really well. The weekend against Arsenal, he stopped 100% of the threat faced him, right? Which, again, he's done that 2 games in the back-to-back. He did that, whereas the first game was 50-50. So, again, he's improved. His aerials were about, I think there was 67. I'll look up in a minute, but they were again in a good place, right? Jules 80%, right? So these are good figures for a guy concentrating on that. And I would say, as much as I agree with you, he did spend a lot of the time just tucked in, trying to make it 3. If Don wasn't there, then otherwise he'd go back and make it 3 at the back. His passing in this game was better than the previous game. He tried 6 long passes this game, right? His passing accuracy was 83%, right? He attempted 29 passes, right? These are improvements. His touches in the last game were 44% in the middle third, right? Which and 49 in the defensive, whereas in previous games he's been well over 50% in the defensive third. So he's slowly improving on. And I think you were there, weren't you? The last half an hour, 20 minutes, he was offering support, right? It's just that for some reason, Cody's got some sort of blind spot with anyone on his outside at the moment and just won't play him in. So I think what I'm trying to say, long-winded ways, I think he was asked to simplify his game for the first few periods to make sure we're defensively solid. He's done that. The stats support that as well. He's improved that.
Yeah.
And attacking-wise, you can tell now it's like, right, get a bit more comfortable, coming up, and then the inconsistency, which is affecting our forward game at the moment across the piece, I think will come at a latter period when Cody realises that he just needs to roll it down the line and Kirkes is going to whip the ball in. It could be, and equally by Kirkes doing that and Cody using him a couple of times will actually give Cody space for his favourite shot that he currently keep trying every single opportunity. So I think, I think the two just need to play together. And I think that's a common thing with the whole of our front unit. They just haven't played enough games together.
Yeah, that will come with time, especially, and you're right, with all the changes there as well. And speaking of change, to finish the defensive scenario, I mean, Jeremy Frimpong came in. I think he was obviously the first signing of the summer, wasn't he?
Yeah.
In all the midst to give competition to Conor Bradley, but not just that, maybe provide competition or cover, I should say, naturally, for Mo Salah on the right at AFCON. And yet, Dominic Szoboszlai has played right back the last two games and been the official man of the match in the last two games. So I suppose it's a little bit of this. I know there'll be hardly any data for Frimpong because obviously he goes off at 60 minutes. But I'm almost intrigued as, is there a way we can isolate Dominic Szoboszlai at right back and say, is Szoboszlai the best right back at the club right now?
I mean, what we can look at, so Frimpong, for that 60 minutes that he was on the pitch, right? He produced 2% of our threat. He 88% pass rate, and he had 33 passes, right? So, and 3 long, right? His carries were a little bit longer, but look at that one. He carried the ball way more. I think it was 12 carries, right? So that's kind of what he does. 39% in the middle third and 21% in the final third, which is kind of what his game is to get up the pitch, right? Okay, defensively, 75% dual success, didn't compete aerially, and stopped 100% of threat. Right, so that's Frimpong for, yes, people in there with the big clacks and small sample size, yes, but we're just going to have to deal with that, all right? Yeah. Let's put that to one side and let's just look at what we've got, right? Now, Dom played 2 games now, so ignore game day 1, just look at match day 2, right? So match day 2, for Dom, playing in right back, first time playing there for about 15 years or something, what the commentator was telling me on Sky. He had a pass of 89. That's slightly better than Frimpong. You'd expect that as a midfielder, right?
Cool.
Contribution to EPV, 9. That's better than Frimpong. Right? You could argue maybe that's to be expected, but long passes, 11. Final third passes, that's into the final third, 6. Better than Frimpong. Okay. Defensively, 25% dual success, so that wasn't a highlight for that game for Dom, but learning into it, right? But he did stop 100% of threat coming his way, right? So he perceived danger and sorted that out, right?
Yeah.
Now, let's come to the weekends where I think he was outstanding. I really did think he was outstanding. Passing wise, 90% success, 12% of threat from right back. These are starting to get towards Trent numbers. Yeah. All right. And 13% of our on-ball time as well, right? So the amount of time we had, 52 passes made. Remember, Frimpong was down in the low 20s. Yeah. So there's some clear differences in the game. 17 long passes from Dom in the right back zone, 6 into final third to keeping that consistent. And the key one here, 4 progressive passes from right back, right? So defensively, he's improved that 100% aerially, 50% dual rate, right? And again, stopped 100% threat. So I think small sample size, yes. Yeah. But Dom, for me at the moment, is probably the best right back option we've got, I would say. I don't know, you were there for this, but second half he was inverting quite a bit as well. So he was coming into midfield and drifting around, which again, because Kirkes has been a bit more safe.
Yeah.
It comes across and allows Dom to go and do that. So, yeah, for me, I think Frimpong, it was a smart buy, right? He's homegrown.
Of course. Yeah.
30 million, future-proofing. But at the moment, people were wondering how we're going to get Dom into the midfield and Barts. Maybe you don't. Maybe you just play him right back.
It's funny. There was a brilliant bit on the game where, because I was in the COP and he was getting a bit frustrated, you could see in parts. And there was someone sort of around us when we've just got no one who can play the ball like Trent at all. At that point, Szoboszlai just absolutely pinged one through the sky. Bert brought it down on a sixpence type of thing. And I didn't really hear much from that guy the rest of the day, to be honest. But, everyone was cheering, of course, for the game. But he's just something so different. And I know people, you're going to want to say, well, he's one of the double pivot or he's played the 10. I'm not disagreeing with that at all. But it's always important to remember Valverde played right back for pretty much a season for Real Madrid. These players who were just that multifunctional, that special, have an engine like this. And don't get me wrong, Conor Bradley set to come back. Jeremy Frimpong expected back after the international break. But as the stats say right now, considering that Frimpong's one of the ones that came in just on pure stats, you can make a case Dominic Szoboszlai is the best right back, despite not being that at the club. So there you go, people. That is the defensive situation.